Okay, so now we get on to middle-aged. And from here, the story doesn't necessarily go by age, how many years you've lived, but more by the life events. When you get to middle age, people are becoming so unique and having lived so many different experiences that your uniqueness really is like undeniable, right? When you're younger, it's sort of like everyone goes to school, everyone has family life, and everyone has an experience of moving out of home, and everyone sort of has generally speaking, this is the ABC life path, the sort of mainstream life path. Of course, not everyone follows it, but there's something about, most people follow that. When you get into middle adulthood or middle aged, then you've got lots of experiences, and they're going to be as different as much as anyone is. So middle-aged is going to be some general questions, prompting questions to get you writing about it. And also remember, you're writing on in chronological order. What happened after this? What happened after this? What happened after this? So, what is your experience of nature? Include connections you may have with animals and being in places of natural beauty. Have you seen Niagara Falls? Have you been in a forest? Have you seen the Grand Canyon? So on and so forth. Have you had an experience with butterflies landing on your hands? Have you had experiences of pets, cats, dogs? This also is included with animals. What projects have you worked on that you feel you have failed? And what projects have you worked on that you feel have been successful? Include what your understanding is of success and failure. So middle-aged is really the place where your career is sort of, you face the music, right? Did you fail? Did you turn out to be a failure? Or did you turn out to be a success? And what does that mean? What did you achieve, right? Because it's the rational, materialistic paradigm at the stage of development that you're at, it's where you're really looking at your career and physical manifestation. So you include your projects, your work, and what success and failure means to you. From there, we move on to some of the deeper parts of life. What is your experience of finding yourself, knowing yourself, and understanding yourself? Include any stories of taking a journey of self-discovery. So generally speaking, at the age of 28, people feel a big pull to go on a journey of self-discovery, because at the age of 28 or into the early 30s, they realize that, all this stuff that I've been living so far, it hasn't given me any answers, and it hasn't given me what I expected. Right? It's sort of like you realize it's a rip-off to follow the mainstream path. The mainstream path seems to be a deal, right? Go to school, get a good job, get a good house, get married, have kids, and you'll have a good life and you'll be happy and you'll be fulfilled. And basically, people who do all that and get all that realize, it's a bit of a con. There's got to be more to life than this. That's the midlife crisis. If you're intelligent, you'll have your midlife crisis at age 28, and you'll go on a journey of self-discovery, and you'll want to find out what more there is. How can I find myself? Moving on, we have, what was your experience of God, spirituality, existential experiencing, and or any other experience of anything that is larger than you around the time of your late 30s? So this can include early 30s to late 30s. Have you ever had a near-death experience? If yes, describe the experience in as much detail as you can. What was your outlook and understanding of life, understanding of what life is during your late 30s? What was your outlook and understanding of what the world is during your late 30s? So you can include some world events in the political, social climate. Who are the people that were significant to you in your late 30s to early 40s? looking back on your life, what have been your biggest mistakes and regrets? So this is where we're getting into some little bit of the older territory. Looking back on your life, what has been your greatest experiences? Now, we're going to pause here for a moment because the next section is a little bit where we start to get into the reflection upon the reflection. And you start to see this difference of your older self and your younger self. So this is something that becomes more like, you got to understand the thing of the Russian doll, right? What we're working here is the psychology of the Russian doll. You have the child, the baby, and then the child, and then the early adolescent, and the middle adolescent, young adulthood, middle adulthood, old adulthood, middle age, and so on, right? So you are your Russian doll as you get older. And what we're doing is we're taking a layer now, and we're saying, okay, now what is this layer of the Russian doll in relation to a younger one? And what's the connection between the two? What's the trajectory? What's the understanding? What's the difference? How does this layer think differently to this layer? How does this layer feel differently to this layer? And we do that through this process. Yeah, that's part of what is doing just by what's happened as the chronological events, right? But now we're getting a new layer of complexity to it. So if you could go back to your younger self around the time of adolescence and speak to your younger self, that younger person, what would you want to say? How do you think your younger self would take your words? Now, this is interesting also to tie in with what that younger self said about the adults in their life, right? Because you realize that now you would be the adult trying to get through to that adolescent. Very powerful, very revealing. You weren't thinking about that when you were writing about the adults in your adolescent life, were you? Now it's you in that position. What would be the reaction of the person as an adult going to this younger self? So that's a big part. That's a big one, and we do this again and again throughout the process. Next up, we have, what has been your experience and understanding of love? How has love shown up in your life, and what happens to you when you experience love? If any, who have been the people that you have hurt, that you feel you would owe something to them to make amends? So this is taking a moral inventory of life. Who are the people that you have hurt? The people that you keep in your dungeon? The people that you would want to apologize to? Next up, we have, who have been the people in your life who you feel grateful to have known? The people you feel indebted to. There are people you meet in life that you feel you owe everything to. You are forever in their debt. And you will never forget them because of how much they have shown you, taught you, loved you, revealed for you. Tell us about anything else from your life that is significant to you. It can be positive or negative or otherwise. This is late middle-aged. We're getting into late and middle-aged and beyond, but this is middle-aged, and this is an open question. So really, a lot of people who are in this course will be going up to this point because they're reaching the point which is where they are at in their life. So if you reach the point where you're at in your life, what you do is you write about your month that has been leading up to this point, and then you write about your week leading up to this point, and then you write about yesterday, and then you write about today, and then you write about right now, how it is to be writing this. And that actually brings you full circle back to your journal, your daily journal writing. So you do that wherever you're up to. It's always a full life. And in the next section, we're going to go into the older years. But I think a lot of people will not be at this age just yet. But this will be here if you need to. So when you're ready, move on to the next section.